Hey everyone, my name's Derrick Ivey. I'm a board certified clinical hypnotherapist, researcher, and intuitive. I'm here today to talk about an issue that affects a lot of people, and that is trust issues. In my work as a hypnotherapist and a spiritual healer, I've worked with so many people with relationship issues, relationship trauma in varying ways, how that shows up for them, how it blocks them from experiencing what they want to experience and showing up how they want to show up, and then helping them find freedom and a whole new way of being with themselves and other people. So let's get right into this. What is a trust issue? So, a trust issue is a really loose term for habitual patterns of mistrust. Now, just by saying the term trust issues, there's a certain stigma attached to that, isn't there? And you might even want to pause the video and just tune into how that feels in your body when I say that term, trust issues. And this is something that if if you're connected to your intuition, you probably already intuitively know whether or not this is an issue for you or not. And maybe you don't, and that's okay too. And really, a lot of these patterns with trust issues, they grow in the dark. So if there's not the light of consciousness shining on these patterns and these issues, then it's just going to keep festering below the level of looking. And that's one of the reasons why I am addressing this issue, is because trust issues are a very deeply subconscious issue. Trust issues were usually formed at an earlier time in life, or sometimes even in a past life. But the thing about them is that they are running at those deep subconscious levels, and they're filtering your experience of life through those lenses of mistrust. So trust issues are behaviors linked to your attachment style and past experiences, habitual patterns of distrust. How might habitual patterns of distrust affect your life? Well, they affect how you view yourself, they affect how you view other people, and they can also create chronic doubt and distrust of life. So, the first thing I want to say about this is, if this is coming up for you and you find it very, very hard to trust yourself or trust other people in your world, just know that this is absolutely healable. There is absolutely hope for healing this. You don't have to stay in the suffering forever. You don't even have to stay in it any longer than it takes for you to view what's going on, to address it from the root cause, integrate that, reframe it, and then look at things in a whole new way. And you're going to take a different life trajectory than you would if you would have left those issues unhealed. So there's always hope if you're willing to commit the time and energy and effort that it's going to take to really heal this. And you might even need to employ some professional help to assist you on this journey. And there's absolutely no shame in that. And just know that just by seeing that there's a pattern going on and zooming out, looking at it from a broader perspective, that's about 60% of healing this, everyone. Because what it is if these patterns are running unconsciously, we don't know there's a problem. We just think it's normal. We just think that that's how things are and that life is supposed to be this hard and people are not to really be trusted deep down. Those would be the beliefs that we're unconsciously operating under. So if you are experiencing these issues and you've just begun to see the issue, know that you are like 60% on your way to fully healing this. So congratulations. And it takes a lot of courage to look at patterns like this. It takes so much courage to share these patterns with other people and really be honest and get really real about what's going on inside. But the reward for doing that is your freedom, is your highest expression, is you moving through the world with confidence and with trust and having a really healthy, skilled viewpoint of how to navigate life and relationships and work and life, right? So, um, a lot of these symptoms of chronic doubt and distrust really show themselves the most in relationships because in relationships, all of our buttons get pushed. All of our deepest reserves are going to be needed because they're here to help us expand and grow as souls. So, that chronic doubt and distrust could look like you not trusting others to come through on their obligations. And maybe you have past evidence that people are not to be trusted based on things that happened in the past. And at that point, programs were installed. You began running on those programs, and you might still be running on them, even though they were formed for an entirely different reason than what they're used for today. And just like anything, trust issues follow an energetic pattern. And that energetic pattern that they follow, different stories attached, but it's that same energetic pattern. So if you're running a pattern of trust issues and it was based on something back to keep you safe a long time ago, it's things in your current life are going to attach to that energy, even though you don't need that to keep you safe now. Now the circumstances of your life are completely different. So, another symptom of trust issues and how that might play out in a relationship is the fear of getting too close. You're afraid that if you are too vulnerable, that you are going to get hurt. So that prevents connection. Um, Also, it siphons off your connection with who you really are because you're believing that story of mistrust and you're running those programs of doubt and distrust. So, another way that trust issues manifest is through jealousy. This can happen in interpersonal relationships. This can happen in the work world. This can happen anywhere that there's people. Jealousy, self doubt, suspicion, false accusations, anxiety, avoidance, neediness, emotional sensitivity, reactivity, unwillingness to forgive or unable to forgive, abandonment, fear, codependency. So, if any of those ring a bell, there's a good chance that at the root and at the core of that energetic pattern is a trust issue. So, first, I want to break down the difference between distrust and paranoia because they're two very different things that might manifest in your physicality looking like they're the same thing. But really, distrust is based on fact. Paranoia is irrational, intense suspicion that's not really rooted in reality. So let's think about some examples here of distrust. Let's say that you are unable to trust that someone is not talking negatively about you. And that person has talked negatively about you in the past. Okay, then that's distrust. It's not necessarily paranoia because you're basing this off of something that's actually happened. This person has actually talked negatively in your name, right? So that's that is rooted in reality. Paranoia. This is when maybe this person you suspect of talking negatively about you, maybe they've never said a negative word about you in their life, but maybe you interpreted the way they looked at you a certain way, or you interpreted one thing they said and you read too far into it. That's edging on paranoia because it's not based in an actual fact of anything that happened. It's more up here, right? So this is something that you can just start being aware of. You don't have to go all out and label every single situation and every single relationship in your life. Is this, am I distrusting or am I paranoid? But this is something that you could bring more awareness to. And that's all this is. It's, as with anything in healing, it's just gathering valuable information. And also, we're always healing. We're never healed. We're always on this journey of healing and expansion and transformation. So it's something to get curious about. And I always recommend that people bring this quality of curiosity to what they do on their healing journey, because if it's not fun, if it doesn't have that element of curiosity, then it just becomes more work. And who wants more work? This is not about punishing yourself. This is moving into a whole new reality and seeing the world in a whole different way and experiencing levels of freedom that maybe you've never experienced before. But you are so worth that. You are so worth doing the work that is needed to do to heal and clear up these energetic patterns. So just start thinking about if there's areas in your life where you're questioning yourself or someone else. Ask yourself, is this rooted in reality? Is this distrust based on reality? Or is this distrust based on a story? Just like we talk about the signal versus the noise. The signal is this person is actively talking negatively about you. And at that point, you could handle that situation. But if there's no evidence, there's no proof of that, then that's just noise. So really think about that about a lot of things. Is this the signal or the noise? And you don't want to give your energy and engage the noise because the noise is just going to get bigger. One thought breeds another thought. I was reading this book yesterday, and it was talking about if you started calling your morning coffee into question, then you're going to start calling your tea and your cocoa and your yerba mate into question. So it's never about one thing, is it? Because so you can see how that noise just continues to grow, and it was never actually based in a fact. It was just you had one thought, that thought created more thoughts, that those thoughts created more thoughts, and then you're buried in this big pile of distrusting thoughts that are not even based on reality. So, at a basic level, if you have a trust issue, that's essentially, in a lot of ways, a control issue. And you feel out of control. And that's one of the hallmarks of a trust issue is when you're starting to feel out of control in your own life because you can't control other people's actions. You can't control outcomes of certain things in your life, and you don't have the confidence in life doing what it does and what it needs to do. And I think that's so interesting that as humans, we accumulate these issues of distrust, but did it require any trust for the universe to be the way it is? The universe created the mountains and the oceans and all of the stuff was created without thought. And all of that happened without us trying to have controlling thoughts about it, is my point. So think about all of nature's processes that beautifully unfold without the interference of trying to control it. A tree grows without being controlled. We don't tell the tree how many leaves it's supposed to have. This is a natural, beautiful process. And the same goes in our own energetic world, right? So, a lot of times when we're having issues like this and we can't trust and we have control issues and we think we have to control an outcome or control what another person does, that adds interference, that adds resistance. So that's like us saying that we know what's best for a tree out in nature to grow and making some sort of alteration to that tree because we don't trust its innate ability to grow. And then it ends up stifling it. So when control is not felt in your life, what does that bring up for you? How do you feel when it feels like you don't have control over a situation? I want to invite you into this inquiry into your own soul and really feel that energy that comes up in you around trusting, around outcomes. When control is not felt, you are less likely to have positive experiences. You are less likely to have positive expectations of situations, which actually puts the energy out there to have a bad experience. So sometimes our own thinking and our own patterns are our own worst enemy. Um, so, what causes a trust issue? And I think the first reason that trust issues develop is trauma, plain and simple. If you have a lot of trauma in your past, that could definitely have been the originating cause of your trust and control issues in life. If you had an unloving childhood, in childhood, we look to our parents to really provide us with the nurturement and comfort that we need. And if we don't get that nurturement and comfort in the right ways, then the world becomes a scary place. These people that we were supposed to been able to trust, we can't really trust, and that creates trust issues. The next thing that creates trust issues is rejection. And maybe this is a rejection early on. Maybe this happened when you were in preschool or kindergarten and some of the other little kids broke your trust. Maybe this is something that you're not even really consciously aware of. That's these programs are running, but you don't know where they come from. Past relational experiences can cause trust issues. So let's say that your first girlfriend or boyfriend in second grade kissed another boy or a girl, you could have trust issues your entire life until you heal it based on that one experience very, very early on in life. The next thing is an insecure attachment. If you did not securely attach early in your life, that could carry over into the rest of your life. And that could be such a deep seated lens that you view reality through. And also, sometimes it's a matter of brain chemistry, and your brain is not firing the right synapses or making the right connections. And you have trust issues as a result of that. So, after reviewing all of those causes, I wonder what of those really apply to you? What do you consciously recollect about your childhood, about your past experiences, about your trauma and your journey to healing? Really tune into that and feel the energy in your body that comes up with it, because that holds the energetic blueprint to reversing those processes. So, just as all of those processes were deeply put in, so they can also be undone. But it's an unfolding process. It's like if you folded up a bandana and then you unfolded the bandana, you might fold over one time, fold over one more time. To undo it, you unfold one time, unfold one more time. So there's different steps to this unfolding, but just know that as human beings, we are never stuck in a subconscious program. Isn't that amazing to know? We're never actually stuck in a subconscious program. We can choose to be in that program and stay stuck in that program. That's our free will. We have that choice. We have that right. No one's going to stop you. We also have the chance to heal. But what happens more often than not in today's society is that people don't actually even know what's going on. They're so consumed by trying to cover the pain up, trying to run away from the pain, trying to distract themselves with video games, with movies, with food, with drinking, with drugs, with you could go on and on. But people are not actually feeling their feelings to the extent that they could be. So that means they're not experiencing the freedom to the extent that they could be either. And you want full freedom. I think that's a pretty safe guess if you're watching videos like this or studying this type of thing, that you want to move beyond having those issues. You want to be able to enjoy life without chronically doubting and questioning yourself. So, healing is possible. Healing past trauma to update those programs is going to be key. So, in my own practice, when someone comes to me with a very deep seated trust issue, the first thing we do is we let the energy be. We let that energy of mistrust be there, and we feel it, and we look at characteristics of that energy, and we identify when that energy comes up. We really get a good idea of the patterning of that energy that those stories of mistrust attach onto. From there, you cannot heal anything without first being present with it. You can't bypass feeling the discomfort. So, healing from this is going to be possibly a very, very uncomfortable experience. But what is a few hours of discomfort for a lifetime of freedom, of feeling free to fully be yourself and to fully let others be themselves? So, once that energy is identified in a deep trance state, we can unlock the encoded information that was locked inside of there. We can have the subconscious take us back to the originating scene where these trust issues first develop. And you might be thinking, well, I don't know exactly when these trust issues developed in me. The truth is, you don't have to know. Your subconscious records everything that's ever happened to you, both in this life and a past life, and it's there. We know how to decode that and how to bring that information out as professional hypnotherapists and healers at QSM. The next thing that's going to be a huge part of your healing of this is reframing and re-updating. So once we find that information that's there and where it's stemming from, that's when we go quantum. We go back to those older timelines and we step into the eyes of that younger version of you. And we re update what that little version of you was believing. We clear the energy at a cellular level. We allow that density to move through your system. And sometimes it even has to get a little bit bigger before it can leave. But we leave the space around it for that to happen. Once that energy exits, then we install a new program that fits better, a new program that is in alignment with your highest self. And once we do that, then we can have a whole new view on things. A lot of shifts happen even after only one session of working on this stuff. And it happens in layers. So you're going to peel one layer off, then you're going to peel another layer off. and then another layer. And then before you know it, you are this centered and free being who sees life in a whole new way. But it doesn't stop there. There's things that you need to do in your physical reality to continue these processes in motion, to gain energetic support from different sources, to be on the same page with others, to be honest and open and vulnerable with others about what you're healing from. All of these things are necessary in healing these trust issues. So, the first thing that you're going to do out in action in your world is improve your communication channels. Most of the time, people with trust issues have a hard time communicating because it doesn't feel safe. So, we're going to find safe ways that you can begin communicating to people in your life. You can tell them, I'm having challenges with trust issues. This is what is coming up from for me. And this is what I have found is the root cause in me. So I'm aware of this and I'm going to need your help to just be an understanding space for me as I heal these issues up. I'm going to need you to understand and not take these things personally when these things do flare up. I'm going to need you to help talk me through these, right? So you're going to have to communicate and be vulnerable to heal from this. That is a part of it. And it's also kind of to your brain, it's disproving all of these old false programs as you do be vulnerable and have good results with being vulnerable. That's going to build up your confidence even more, even deeper. So then you don't have these trust issues anymore. You're going to have to look at your own views and you're going to have to challenge some of your own views. You're going to have to get really good at being an energetic sleuth for yourself and really beginning to bring qualities of curiosity to what's going on, these patterns that are happening. And you're going to have to also allow people the opportunity and space for others in your life to change as well. Because as you're growing and as you're changing, you're also changing the dynamic of all of these other relationships in your life. And that's going to take an adjustment period for those people to get used to these new patterns in you. And so we have to extend that grace to ourselves and to other people in our world as we're healing. Also, I'm going to encourage you to build healthy, trustworthy connections in your life because maybe your earlier life was filled with a lot of people that you couldn't really trust and a lot of connections that were really no good for you. But now, at this point in your life, it's time to start showing your subconscious evidence of the contrary. So, I'm going to encourage you to make healthy new relationships with people, letting trustworthy people in. And that might be a really, really scary thing if you've been dealing with trust issues for your whole life to actually trust someone and let them in. But this is a necessary component of healing it. You have to learn how to do that and how what that looks like, what that feels like energetically in your body to let a trustworthy person in. So maybe at first, the only person you could really trust is your therapist because they're not allowed to talk about anything that you say. That's perfect. That's a great first trustworthy connection to make. or maybe your partner, or maybe one of your parents, or your brother or sister. And I don't know who that is for you, but I want you to practice letting in some of these trustworthy people and then celebrating it. When you do it, when you open and trust, celebrate that progress and really note how much deeper that connection is through your vulnerability, through opening up and actually trusting them. The next thing is validation. How are you going to validate and regulate yourself? How can you validate this new level of trust that is coming into your life? And do your thoughts have a concrete basis in reality? Or and practice going without validation for things that are not grounded in reality. We're trying to desensitize that energy and remove that emotional charge. So if you engage in compulsions every time you have a thought that maybe this could be going on or this could be happening, but it's not based in reality, do yourself a favor and sit with that energy. Sit with the discomfort of not finding out. Because if it's not based in reality, it's just noise at this point. Maybe it is true, but wait for the noise. Don't get all, or wait for the signal. Don't get all caught up in this noise, right? So, professional guidance is something that's really going to help you with trust issues. Go to a licensed therapist, go to a hypnotherapist, go to someone that is here to help you heal, and someone that you can trust, someone that you know is going to be able to hold a judgment free space for you as you untangle all of these cords, as you look at the truth versus the illusion. It's a process. And don't forget that you are fully allowed to feel whatever you're feeling through this process. It's going to bring up everything. It's about everything in your life. It's going to push every thorn you have. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Because what comes on the other side of working on all this stuff is freedom. What comes on the other side of working on all this stuff is that you trust yourself, that you trust other people in your life, that you don't have all of these issues that stem from your trust issues anymore. You can actually see things clearly. You don't spend as much of your time and energy spinning because you're rooted in truth and you're rooted in trust of the very fabric of existence. Healing for you will include understanding these subconscious patterns at a very deep level, because shining the light of consciousness on those patterns is 60% of healing them. Healing for you is going to include finding out where they come from, re-educating and reframing, and aligning with the deepest understanding that you can possibly have about the energy that's in your life. And healing is also going to include a very vibrant and energized vision of what you know you can create with your life on this planet. So if you're really in a bind right now and you are buried in these trust issues, you may consider joining us in our Quantum Shift Development Program. This is a program for practitioners, but it's really for anyone who wants to learn not only their own patterns, but how to find information like this in the psyche. Then, after you find it, how to alchemize that energy to create a whole new expression. Or you may also want to do a few sessions with me. And you can find information about doing sessions as well as joining our QSM training and development program on DGTWellness.com. If you resonate with me and my energy and my healing work, I would absolutely love to hold that space for you and help you heal these issues in your life. I've worked with hundreds of clients over the years, and many, many clients I've helped heal from trust issues that are now experiencing their own freedom and the beauty of them. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It helps us so, so much to help us grow this work, help us reach more people. Don't forget to like, comment, share. All of these things are ways that you can support DGT Wellness. Thank you so much and have such a blessed day. Be easy on yourself, have more fun, and just become curious about those patterns. We'll talk soon.